What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Footy with an Edge. I am your host, Andy, and we're back again to talk about some breaking news, I guess, from yesterday, because there's more breaking news from today that we'll get to towards the end. It's just all happening right now. I guess the Glazers and Ineos have decided that because we have one game per week, why don't we fill in the gaps with some spicy news as much as possible, right? Because that's what they're doing. Yesterday, there was a podcast that that Jim Ratcliffe did with the Times, I believe, and he said that he believes Ruben Amorim should get 3 years at the club. Let me just get the text sorted here. Sorry, guys, I'm a little bit behind today, so I apologize. Let me just update this right here. Hi there, Nonstop. Does Amorim deserve? All right. For those of you guys, hi Mustafa. How you doing? Good evening. James Warrington also mentioned, I remember Sir Alex being signed from Aberdeen. He had a miserable start, but we gave him the time he needed. Give Amorim the time he needs. That is a very interesting point, and I have, you know, I have something to show you guys a bit later in terms of Sir Alex. That is definitely very interesting. Um, cool. So yeah, basically, Sir Jim has come out and said that he thinks he needs 3 years, right? The exact quotes are Ruben needs to demonstrate he's a great coach over 3 years. Asked if Amorim is going to get the 3 years. Ratcliffe replied, yes, that's where I would be, 3 years, because football is not overnight. It's 3 years. You also look at Mikel Arteta at Arsenal. He had a miserable time over the first couple of years. By the way, this is not the first time Sir Jim has spoken about Mikel Arteta or referred to Mikel Arteta in these terms. And he said it again. You have to be patient. We have a long-term plan. It isn't a light switch. You can't run a club like Manchester United on knee-jerk reactions to some journalist who goes off on one every week. And he says, what if the Glazers want Amorim out? He essentially says it's not going to happen. The Ineos boss added that the Glazers were happy for him to take charge, adding that probably sums it up. We're local and they're on the other side of the pond. And then he says the Glazers are nice people. I don't know how you guys feel about that. And then about the job cuts, he says the costs were just too high. There were some fantastic people at United, but there's also a level of mediocrity, and it had become bloated. I got a lot of flack for the free lunches, but no one's ever given me a free lunch. Okay, so there's a bunch of like public company CEO crap that Sir Jim is talking about. But look, essentially the question, right, and the question in the chat as well here, I'm just going to put a poll up for you guys. Should Amorim Yeah, so there's a poll up. Give me your thoughts, guys. Whether he should get 3 years at the club or not. My opinion is I'm more in the yes camp than in the no camp. I believe he should get time. He should definitely get to the end of this year. But the problem I have is what does it actually mean for him to get 3 years at the club, right? Because if you're gonna give him 3 years, but you're not gonna support him with the players that he needs, then that's gonna be a problem, right? Because you can say here you can have 3 years and then we're just gonna let you bring in academy players and that's kind of what you have to work with. That's not good enough, right? I think we all know that's not good enough. So is Sir Jim gonna put his money where his mouth is and say, we're gonna give you 3 years. In January, we're gonna go buy you a central midfielder that can deputize for Casemiro, and we're gonna give you a right wing back that can actually go forward and get back. And with these two signings, we should push for a very good end to the season because let's be honest, we're going to lose Mbumo and Ahmad for AFCON. So our entire right side in an attacking sense is going to be gone for 2 months. Which means we need to and we actually need to invest in the summer, or sorry, in January. So I think it's good to say that yes, he should get 3 years, but let's make sure we're also backing him the right way to make it happen, and make it a successful time. Because you could say, oh, we've backed him all we wanted, we gave him 3 years, but he didn't succeed. Well, he didn't succeed because you didn't back him, right? Um, Let me read some of the chat and then get some of the callers in. Marcus says, "I think this is great. I don't think you can. I don't think you can truly judge him till he'd built a team." Rishi says, "Hello, hi Rishi. Isn't this what we've wanted? Direction." Yeah, great point, Marcus. I myself have been saying this a bunch in our live streams, that Ineos haven't done a good job of coming out and essentially backing Amorim publicly. And this is, let's say, as good of a backing that an owner can provide. So I think he's done a really good job of doing that with this podcast. Obviously, I'll have to see the whole podcast to give my final take on it. But yeah, I think this is positive in the right direction. Talk about also the sale rumors. Yes, that's the second topic we have. You can see here on the text carousel here. I'm going to talk about that as well. Also looks like there's going to be new investors. Yeah, we're going to talk about that, guys. So if you want to come give your thoughts, the Discord link is in the description, but I'll also pin it in the chat here. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Just pinning it right now. There we go. So if you guys want to come give your thoughts, join the Discord server and join the waiting room, and we should be able to get you in. All right, let's bring Rishi into the show. Rishi, you're live on Footy with an Edge. Go on, give us your thoughts.
Hi Andy, how you doing?
I am great, man. How are you?
I'm good too. I'm good too. Um, Good to hear that Amarim's been backed.
Isn't this what we were
There's
all
so
asking
much.
for?
Sorry.
Isn't this what we were all asking for?
Yes, it is all we're asking for, but with United, there is so much to unpack in one interview that. Okay, let me just ask you a question. Why isn't this statement coming from the director of football or from the CEO? Why does the owner get involved in all these things? Do you any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think if we were in a position where the director of football, like Christopher Vavell or Jason Wilcox or any of those guys came out and said this, I personally would be sitting here saying, why isn't Sir Jim saying anything? Right? Because I think we all kind of see him as the head of the snake, and I feel like there's a little bit of, if it's a good decision, then Sir Jim gets the credit, but if it's a bad decision, then it's the football people that made the decisions. So I personally prefer it that Sir Jim is the one who's come out and said this, because look, let's be honest, we're a massive club, the biggest club in England, and he is the biggest name that's attached to our club. So for him to come out and say the most important thing that needs to be said, I think that's appropriate.
Do you mind if I bring in another topic over here? Like it's allied to this. It's not removed from this. We are all
Yeah.
celebrating the fact that the owner has come and he's backed the manager, and he realizes that this is a long-term project and the
Mm-hmm.
manager needs to be backed. He's cited Arteta over and over again, and we are all happy about the facts. But when there were first talks of some new ownership coming in back in November 2022, it's almost 3 years since then now.
Hmm.
We were all hoping for some sort of a football process to come in, right? Because we were tired of arbitrary decisions being made by bankers. We
Hmm.
wanted football people to take football decisions. That's all what we wanted. Do you really see that happening here? Because it just seems like we've gone from an incompetent billionaire to a somewhat competent billionaire. Like all these decisions that like my next question, if I was a journalist there to whoever, I think it was the Times business section that he was giving an interview to.
Yep.
If it was a
The business
footballing person
podcast.
that he
Yeah.
was speaking to, yeah, the business podcast. If it was a football journalist that he was speaking to, my next question would have been, okay, Sir Jim, if you're giving this man a 3 year tenure, then what is your 3 year plan? Is
Hmm.
your 3 year plan just that Amorim is going to be in charge for 3 years?
Yeah, that's exactly what
Recently
I
I
said,
heard
right,
on,
Rishi? I said the same
right,
thing when I was
yeah,
reacting to start the show. It's not just about giving him time; it's about giving him the resources as well.
right.
And if you just give him time and say, we're back in 1989, um, you can't just expect everything to work out. And listen, for those people that talk about Sir Alex getting time and him turning it around, it was a very different era, guys, right? Like the football was not nearly as competitive as it is today. And give Sir Alex credit, because for what was expected from him, he was the best of the best, and he turned it around, and that's totally fair. But what you guys need to realize, and sorry, Rishi, I'm going on a tangent, but what you guys need to realize is that when Man City took over the mantle of what United was doing, right? They came out and did something that United was doing, but they did it better. And then to dislodge sort of City off of their mantle, Klopp came in and he's trying to do something that City was doing, but better with less resources, right? And now, if Arteta wants to take over and win the league, he has to do something better. So the new version of the old successful version is always like at least that, but also a little bit better in some other ways. So for us to sort of compete with all these big clubs right now, are we better than Chelsea in terms of our transfer policy? No, we're not. Are we better than Arsenal in terms of how we've set up the defense and being one of the best defensive teams in the league? No, we're not. Do we have a better coach than Man City? Do we spend more money than Man City? No, we don't. So how do you expect Amorim to be successful in 3 years, even if you do back him, right? What are the metrics of this success that you're talking about? Like if Amorim finishes eighth this season, sixth next season, and fourth the season after that, is that considered success, or do you mean success by him winning the league? Right? I think those are the questions we need to be asking.
Yeah, and the question should be not about what is the benchmark for Amorim success. The question should be what is the benchmark for Manchester United Football Club success? Because he's very quick to drop the Arteta example. That look at how Arteta was given time, and he's right in that. I'm glad that he's at least got some sense. He's not like the Glazers who would have fired every second manager who didn't qualify for Europe. So I'm happy that he has some sense, but just going off of what Arsenal, the club, and the board is doing. They recently offered Saliba a new contract.
Yeah.
And do you know the value of that contract? He's earning £250,000 as a base salary and up to 300,000 with bonuses, performance, individual performance, and team performance bonuses included. £300,000 potentially is the going rate for a centre back, a top centre back in the Premier League. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure Ruben Diaz is earning somewhere close to £300,000. The highest paid centre back at United, there are two of them. There's Matthias de Ligt, who earns 195,000,
And
and
Maguire.
there's Harry
Right.
Maguire, who's on a close to 200,000 or 190,000 pounds, based on whichever source you
Yeah.
believe. Right. And it is also rumored that Luke Shaw, with the new contract he was offered in 2023, is also making similar money. Now, I love Delict. I think he's been one of our best players this season. But do you think he's anywhere in the league of a Saliba or a Ruben Diaz or even a Van Dijk?
No, well, so I wouldn't put Ruben Diaz in the same conversation. He has definitely won this, like, equivalent to the other two that you've mentioned, or even more when you're talking about an Arsenal center back. But I wouldn't necessarily put Diaz in the same conversation. But I do agree. Like Delict is, let's say, at his best, a step down from those guys. And listen, if someone wants to come here and say if Delict was in the Arsenal team, he would look a lot better. Maybe, but again, based on what I've seen, I wouldn't quite put him at the same level. And in fact, I would even say, does Delict make £195,000 a week if he plays for, let's say, not a top six club? If he plays for Tottenham, even, does he make that money? He probably doesn't. So the real problem is that we're paying wages that are above our pay grade, right? And
Exactly.
in terms of value for money,
Exactly.
we don't really have the quality to back up the money
And
that we're paying.
what's your plan? What's your plan to go out to be able to afford the next Saliba? Because you're not guaranteed to find a Saliba who's 18 years old playing at Saint Etienne, and then you buy
Yeah,
him, and then you send him back on loan for a couple of seasons. You bring him back when he's 21 or 22, when he's good enough for you and he's more experienced, right? You don't have that pathway. You've bought Sekou Kone and you've put him in the academy or playing with the reserves. He's been here for a couple of years. You have no pathway of bringing him to the first team at least for the next couple of years. So you can't afford that also. So it is all well and good to cite these right examples. With United, I always get the feeling that you are just fed little bits and pieces here and there. You're never given a full picture. Like, has anyone come out and said that, okay, we have a vision 2028 when Barada announced it? He never gave us any details of that vision. He never said that the way he's planning to overhaul the squad, the way he's planning to bring in more coaches, or the way he wants to maybe revolutionize the contract payment system. None of that has been given to us.
yeah,
So I like the idea that okay, Ruben Amorim is getting 3 years, but the reality is this fellow also came a couple of weeks back and he said that with the squad we have in hand, we should be getting Europe. Europe minimum is seventh place. I don't think we are in any position to reach seventh place. So he's talking out of both ends, and I have no clue like what to make of this statement because I want to like it, but it is so incomplete. Like it is just something thrown out there to keep us engaged for the next couple of weeks, and hopefully we get a good result against
yeah.
Liverpool, and then this
Uh,
man is vindicated for having that vision.
I think you know what it is, Rishi. I think it's them just being overly pragmatic and them putting on their business hat from a downside protection perspective. Because you could say, why not put on the business hat from a pushing up the upside by backing him to the hilts and giving us an exact plan. I think the problem is, look, if Amorim, if we lose badly against Liverpool and Amorim comes out and says, these players are, complete garbage, they let me down, or says some emotional shit, or he's hiding his face when we have our fifth penalty of the game or some nonsense like that. So it, I think they're just saying as much as they can say, while also allowing them to say, well, okay, we tried to give him a chance, but unfortunately we've lost 5 games in a row and he has to go, right? So that
Can
they
I give
have
you can
they
I give
have
you
one foot
another
in
spin
both
on it?
doors. Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah, I think he's finally come to his senses and realized that at this point in the season, there is not a suitable candidate you can bring on. They cannot bring in another interim manager like Rangnick or Carrick
Mm-hmm.
or whoever we've had as interims, or even someone like an Oli who came as an interim and became a permanent manager.
Yeah,
We cannot do something like that because they look incompetent and clueless again, right? You need to at this point, even if he thinks that an Iraola or a Glasner is the right fit for us, or even a Javi for that matter, he realizes that Iraola and Glasner are not coming now. If I want a Javi, I can't give him Bruno Fernandes and Kobe Menu and Ugarte. Ugarte, he'll not even look at Javi when he comes in because Ugarte can't pass a ball,
yeah,
right? He'll look at a washed up Casemiro and a Bruno who cannot retain possession in the middle of the park. and he'll be like, bro, I need at least three more new midfielders. And then everyone is going to be like, if you have to buy him new midfielders, why didn't you just buy Amorim three new midfielders? If you were anyways going to buy this guy three new midfielders,
Right.
right? So he's just realized that the best thing for now is to ride it out till the summer, and there are choppy waters that they're sailing in choppy waters. So they need to bring some solidity. They need to be seen as backing the manager, and that's what this is. And just here, looking at what YouTuber has written in the comment sections, he says he probably has a plan. He just don't publicly announce it. Brother, I would love to believe that what you're saying is true, and he actually does have a plan. But a plan actually means that you have to see it in action, right? Looking at our and Andy, I see you've also said that it's a good point. I want to ask both you and I want to ask our friend YouTuber here. What good is a plan if you don't see it in action? And the action we've seen in the summer transfer market, right? We've seen what a fracas it has been. I don't think from any angle he had a plan. It was not a very good plan, and it didn't work out for the best. Otherwise, we would not have been left with a disjointed squad. We would
Um,
not have five number 10s and a 9.5, right?
yeah, so I,
When we
I
need at least two midfielders.
I was listening to the I think Carl Anka on Talk of the Devils podcast, or one of the other four that are on that podcast, and they were essentially saying that I think Sir Jim was keen on a midfielder, but eventually the committee decision came out to be that Sheshko is available and he's too good to pass up on, so we have to go get him. And I think that's how they were
Mhm.
making their decisions, right? With Cunha, with Mbumo, they said, listen, Premier League proven players, it's a problem area for us. We can't really miss out, and we have to go get them. And so I'm not making any excuses for them because honestly, listen, you decided to be in the business of owning a football club. You decided to be in the business of coming in and saying, we're going to change bring United back to the glory days, blah blah blah. And I want them to stay consistent with what they're saying. I want Sir Jim to come out and say more of these things because ultimately, Rishi, I guess my point is it's not about whether the summer plan was good or bad. It's more about what you're going to do now, given that it was a bad plan, right? Because I think we can all agree it was a bad plan. Like, what next? Let's look forward, right? And in
Right.
my opinion, what you can do looking forward is making sure one that you take as much heat off of Amarim as possible because that man, I'm telling you, has more pressure on him than some world leaders do. In terms of dealing with politics every day. At least they can go. They don't have to do 50 press conferences every day, and we need to take some pressure off of him from the outside. The second thing we need to do is in
Yeah.
January go get him one really good solid player and one player that can be maybe a season long loan till the end of the season. And what I mean by that is we have two positions that are going to be in big trouble as soon as Mbumo and Ahmad leave for AFCON, right? And that's the right 10 and the right wing back. So I want us to go get a quality right wing back or a quality midfielder that can play in place of Casemiro because we're gonna let Casemiro go at the end of the season. There's no doubt about that, and because they want to get rid of his wages. And I feel like if those two areas, if we can go buy a midfielder, buy a right wing back, at least one of them being a permanent signing for the future, the other one being a short term solution till the end of the season, I think that's kind of what we need to make this work.
Hmm.
Um,
I see someone in the comments over here, someone called P Storm.
yeah,
Um, and if I may address his comments really quickly,
yeah,
where do you know Ugarte from? He's played for my club for the last year and a half, so that's where I know him from. Also saw a bit of him at PSG. Ugarte was very good in Sporting, and that is what he expects from him now. Somehow he's not delivering, but he will. I think people talk too much for how little they really know. Well, brother, I mean, I can only talk about what I've seen here. I can't talk about anything else, and none of us is here pretending that we are football experts. We are just fans who are concerned about the state of the club, right? So, I think everyone here knows too little, and we talk because we are concerned about the club. And I can tell you for a fact that all the people here, the Andy and all the 20 or 30 or 40 people that are live right now, and the hundreds of people who might watch it later, we are all concerned and we all care about and we all love this club much more than Jim Ratcliffe or the Glazers or any of the players in there do, because we live in weird parts of the world. We get up at odd times of the day to watch our club play. Uh, None of these people do it. They are all in a privileged position. They are all getting paid to do the job that they do.
Yeah, I
And
think
if we are out here talking in a
if I might just step in and kind of nip this in the bud, P Strom, I think the point of this call-in show is to share our opinions, right? Just like you shared yours and nobody just immediately shut you down. The point is that we have seen Ugarte play many games for this club, and he hasn't been good enough in the areas that we want him to be good enough. Now, that portion is not really up to opinion. That is fact, right? Go watch his game, go watch his stats. If you think we've gotten something wrong, then maybe we're watching different games, because it's a fact that Ugarte hasn't been up to the standard based on what we're expecting. It's a fact that manager after manager, like Eric Ten Hag bought him, he didn't use him. Last year, Amorim had a chance to use him. When he actually played for him at a different club, he didn't use him. Even this season, he's only put him in specific games because he hasn't been good enough. He hasn't been better than Casemiro, and he clearly hasn't been better than Bruno either. And if you wanted to
Enrique
talk,
swapped him for a better midfielder and immediately won the Champions League.
yeah, he did exactly. Well, Rishi, it's been great. We've been holding up the waiting room for a while. I might just bring you in a bit later. Is that okay?
No, absolutely, Andy. It's the community show, and I've had my say. I would love to hear what the other guys, other people have to say.
Got it. Okay.
So yeah, just go for it. I'll be around, and
All right. See ya.
yeah, let's. By the way, I want to hear your thoughts on this supposed Saudi takeover also. So
Yeah,
I'm
we'll talk
definitely
about
gonna
it.
hang
We'll
around.
talk about it. We'll talk about it immediately next. All right. Cool. Thank you, Rishi, for his thoughts as always. P Strom, listen, I'm not trying to poo-poo your opinion, but the fact that Ugarte has not been good enough, man. Like that, I'm not sharing an opinion. That is a widely known fact. What has he been good about that you think? So you think Amorim has just misprofiled him, and even though he is really good, he's just not playing him? Because if that was the case, Ugarte went to PSG from Sporting when he was playing for Amorim. So don't you think Amorim knows what Ugarte is about? I I feel like you're not really deeping this right here. This guy is, it's almost like if Ten Hag bought Martinez to United from Ajax and then didn't play him. That's what this is like. So I don't know. The insane negativity has been so harmful. It's, listen, we're expecting more from the player. Nobody's saying anything personal about him. Nobody's saying that, he couldn't lace up XYZ's boots. He just hasn't been good enough. His passing hasn't been good enough. And I'm just being very specific and very honest. Like, he needs to get better with his passing. He needs to get better with his decision making. He tends to be a little reckless at times, even with his passing or whether it's with his tackling. So it's not about being negative for negative's sake. If you can't get over a 33-year-old Casemiro in this team, then maybe you need to look in the mirror and think about what you're doing wrong. Cool. Let's get in Chicken and Marcus and Nick. All right, you guys are all live on Footy with an Edge. It's a little bit of a group discussion. Let me start with Chicken because I think you're a first-time caller. Can you introduce
Let's
yourself
get
and
it.
tell us where you're calling from? Hey, Chicken, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hello.
Hey,
Hey, bro. What's up?
hey, tell us where you're calling from.
I'm calling from Hong Kong, actually.
Nice. How long have you been supporting United?
Well, it's been a while, like 5 years, really.
5 years.
Yeah.
So wait, you started supporting United when Ollie was the manager?
Wait. Excuse me, like it's lagging a bit. So could you say it again?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you started supporting the club when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the manager.
Yeah, I was here when Ollie was the manager, man. Ollie Ball and all that.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Well, give us your thoughts on whether you think Amorim deserves 3 years at the club. What's your opinion on that?
I think I think 3 years is a bit too much, you know. Actually, maybe the full season we can actually see what he's all about. And like I actually really think he's the manager for us, you know, like unpopular opinion.
What's that? Say that again. Sorry.
I think he's a good manager actually, you know, like for
Yeah.
us.
Based
I'll
on
just
what
say that.
exactly? Can you expand on that? Based on what?
Based on like one thing, like he's actually pretty like good with players, you know, like I don't know how to describe it, like charisma and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. And what about his tactics or his
Tactics,
press
yeah.
conferences? What do you
Tactics,
think
yeah.
about that?
I'm gonna be honest, regarding press conferences, I think he's in there for the vibes. And tactically, he's still a young manager, and he can still like adapt, adapt, and just get along.
Okay. Interesting. Marcus, your thoughts?
Good day. How are you?
I am well, thanks. How are you?
Good. I'm terrific. I want to address a couple of one thing that Rishi said,
Yeah.
and that'll get into. Actually, I'll do it all at once. I have something to say about Jim Ratcliffe. He
Go
has
for it.
not yet lied to us, right? He has told us what's been going on from day one. He said there's going to be unpopular decisions. He said it's organic growth. He's when the cuts were made, he explained why, although it was really unpopular, just like he said, right?
Well, he
He
did lie. Sorry, Marcus. He did lie about one thing, which is he said the club was going to go under by December had he not made the cuts, and apparently that was a big fat lie. I mean, a bunch of financial journalists that are much more knowledgeable than I am came out and said that that was basically just a lie. That the club was definitely
well,
not going under. So that part was a lie. But go on.
yeah, okay, I'll give you that. But what he's talked about, what he's been doing at the club, not what the situation the club was in before he got there. But what he's actually been doing at the club, I think, has been very good. And I do think there's a plan. I mean, I know they came out with Project 28 and Project 21, but we're seeing we're seeing it implemented, right? Like they're working on getting rid of people. They're cutting costs. They're cutting the wages down. Situation the club was in before he got there. Well, I'm hearing myself.
Yeah. Sorry. I just pulled Rishi in
Well,
without telling him, and then he was listening to the stream, so he's probably getting some reverb. But
okay.
go ahead.
And okay, where was I? Listen. They've done what they've said they're going to do so far, right? They've addressed the Freedom Five or whatever they were called. They've fixed the problem that they saw. Now they're going to fix the next problem that they see, which is a project, right? That's what it. It's a project. It's not a 1 year thing or a 6 month thing or whatever. And I think he's told Amarim 3 years or told everyone 3 years. But if we have a city season next season when Amarim's got 90% of his team built, then at the end of next season, I'd be worried. I mean, I don't think anything's going to happen this year.
Yeah.
And I think I do honestly believe that Jim has said to Ruben, "You got 3 years, buddy." But then like if I hire a gardener for 3 years and then he still keeps cutting down the rose bushes the wrong way, I'm going to fire him after the first little while, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well,
but
I think it's
I
you.
see a decision being made at the end of next season.
Yeah. I'll be completely honest. I think what's going to happen is related to something that Rishi said, which is Rishi was talking about one of the reasons they haven't let him go is because they know this changing manager in the middle of the season business is not going to work.
Of
And
course, it hasn't worked the previous 7
it's
times.
never worked, and I don't think there's any big club that has made this decision and have it work really well for them, unless you go back to what
Chelsea.
unless you go back to Chelsea when they won the Champions League. I forget the manager's name. And in 2012. But my point is that I think for us to make these rash decisions is not
Yeah.
gonna is not going to bring us success the way we think it's going to bring us success. And the big problem I have with this whole situation, people keep thinking that Amorim is playing the way he's playing because he's stubborn. Have you guys ever stopped to wonder that the board is basically coming to him and saying, you're not going to change your style of play. We want you to stick with your style of play because we hired you to play your system. And if you change your system, then that's going to look bad. And it's not just him being stubborn, it's the whole, like, the football operations team being stubborn about how they're going to make things happen. Right? So,
I have one quick comment on that, if I may.
yeah,
If
go for it.
you bought 5 players for the system,
Yep.
okay, you then I was going to make a comment on it. Sorry, my brain went elsewhere. Go ahead.
Yeah. So look, for me, let's get Rishi's thoughts as well. I'm gonna unmute him. Rishi, you're unmuted now. But I look, in my opinion, people are getting way too serious about Amarim being the problem, in the sense
Oh
that
yeah.
in the sense that they think he's just sitting there, just unchecked, doing whatever the hell he wants at the club and playing a system, even though Sir Jim is coming him and begging him every day to play it for at the back, right? It's actually the opposite. They signed him to play his system, knowing full well the system that he plays. They're looking at the team and realizing that the players are letting him down by the individual mistakes that we've talked about till death. And the underlying numbers, despite all of those mistakes, are actually still pretty good. Like, I was looking at this other website called XG and what I realized there is, apparently, according to this, the stats that these guys look at, the underlying stats that they look at, the XG standings, United should actually be second in the club according to them. The expected position, United should be second in the club, in the league, because we have 14 XG and we've only scored 9 goals. So we should have had 5 more goals than we have right now, and probably more than that because we had 2 own goals, and own goals don't count towards XG, right? And yes, we have conceded a lot of goals, but this is, accounting for all those things, and based on that, United should be second in the table. And so if you're sitting there at the board level and you're saying, we really don't want to make a change in the middle of the season, and give us a case for sacking him and give us a case for backing him, the case for backing him right now is much stronger. And that's what people don't realize. Like, when you're making data driven decisions at a board level, you're going to look at things that are underlying, right? You're going to look at stats that tell you a better, let's say, a more complete picture than just looking at the table and being like, oh, not good enough. We're Manchester United. We should be in the top 4. Let's get rid of him. Because if we go through the next 5 games and win 3 more, I'm fairly certain we're going to be, right around the top 4. We're going to be maybe in 6th position. And if you also look at the last 5 games, no other team has won more than 3 games. The best that any team has done is win 3 games out of the last 5. Even if you look at Arsenal, they're top of the league, but they've won 3, drawn 1, and lost 1. Right? United has won 3, lost 2. Liverpool has won 3, lost 2, and no other club has done better than us. So, what more do you want from Amorim, who's apparently playing with the shit squad, and he's a garbage manager, right? Rishi, any thoughts on what Marcus said about Jim Ratcliffe?
See, I think at the end of the day, as Sir Jim loves to say, at the end of the day, uh, this needed to be done. He had to come out, whether I like it or not, that Sir Jim is in charge of the football matters also, or he is the deciding authority. I don't think he should be, but he is. And
Joel
here his
Glazer would
voice and
never
his
have come.
opinion. Sorry.
Joel Glazer would never have come out and said anything.
But Joel Glazer is incompetent and he's Satan,
Yeah,
so
that's
let
not
us
really a
not invoke
bar.
his name
Yeah,
right
that's not.
now.
Yeah, that's not really the bar, right? But yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
go
So
for it.
he's in charge. Sir Jim is in charge, and Amorim is in a tenuous position, and he needed this public backing. I'm glad that it happened because this is something that should have happened a while back. I think Amorim has been under the pump for a long time, and he's not the only manager. Any manager who loses 2 games in a row, the trolling is brutal and ruthless. People are on everyone's case. Not even Mo Salah is being spared. Not even Arne Slot is being spared, right? So, and United being the biggest club in the league, it is always under the pump. So I'm glad that Sir Jim has come out and he's given this backing. Andy, if you could very quickly just pull out that understat page that you had on
Yeah, it's XG
on
stat.
display.
XG stat. Yeah.
XG stat. Yes, XG stat. And if you could correct that expected points table to the present positions,
Yeah.
the present positions of in the league. So when they're making a statement like let's back Amorim, they're also looking at they're trying to predict where can we end up in this season, right? So according to understand the numbers that we have, I've made the calculations. If we keep creating and conceding at this rate, eventually see XG does catch up, right? So according to the XG projection, we should be scoring somewhere around 70 plus goals and conceding somewhere close to 50 plus goals,
Yeah.
right?
So we have a new keeper.
Those numbers will, sorry.
We have a new keeper. We won't be conceding as many.
No, but
True,
he's
we
saying
won't be
even if
conceding
you,
as many.
yeah, but even if our defense is bad in the future and Lomans is really let down, like just considering based on where we are today, if we project that forward, we will be scoring around
Yeah.
70 and conceding around 50.
And
Right.
those numbers, trust me, go back the last 6 or 7 seasons. In each of those seasons, those numbers have been good enough to get top 5. Okay. And you look at the other teams that are here. Liverpool have lost their last 2, right? They don't have a midfield, they don't have a defense. Tottenham went to Leeds and played with 35% possession, and they just won a lucky game. They are third in the table. I have no faith in Tottenham, right? Bournemouth is historically not the kind of team that would qualify for the top 5. They don't have the kind of investment that Newcastle and Aston Villa had to be able to get into the top 5, right? So they're going to drop off. And we win the next game against the Scousers. The Scousers are second in the league right now. We are 2 points off second.
Yeah.
So it's very early to call the league in any form. I just think that if we get a slight backing for Amorim in uh, either the the winter transfer window in the form of either a midfielder or maybe an additional wing back or something like that. If that happens, then we are in a very good place to go and challenge. So that is what I'm expecting from Sir Jim. I'm very glad that he's come out and he supported Amorim. He needed this public backing. Now at least the conversation will shift from why is Amorim not getting sacked after losing to Liverpool to why is this club still backing, or do you think he's really
Yeah.
worth being given that time?
Rishi,
So
I also want to
yeah,
bring up to back up your earlier point. If we look at the 23-24 season, Aston Villa, so that's 2 seasons ago, Aston Villa finished 4th in the table by scoring 76 goals and conceding 61 goals, right? And that is essentially 6 more goals than we're projected to score and conceding 11 more goals than we're projected to concede. So essentially,
no, we are actually projected to score 76. We are actually projected to score 76. I was keeping that bit of a buffer.
Okay. Yeah. So if we are projected to score 76 and concede 50, then 2 seasons ago we get into the top 4, right? And then if you look at last season, the fourth place team, Chelsea, scored 64 and conceded 43, right? So they scored a little bit less, conceded a little bit less. And then Newcastle conceded 4 more goals and scored 4 more goals than Chelsea. They finished in fifth. So Rishi's absolutely spot on, right? In terms of
Yeah.
if you're looking at underlying numbers and the story that they're telling you, right? I did this video 2 weeks ago where I talked about why his system is underrated, and this is almost exactly what I talked about. Where if you're looking at expected points, and if you're looking at the number of shots, if you're looking at the XG, in the last 4 or 5 seasons, we have never done as well in those metrics as we have right now. And you could say we're slightly worse in our defense because of it. But guys, when have we won the league just by defending well, right? We also need to score goals, and that's been a big problem for such a long time that we're finally starting to address it. And I feel like this is what you get when you're trying to do something new and something different.
This chart here that shows that we have that XG and everything like that should be a reason why people should back off of Amorim in the first place. They need to see the full picture, not just what's happening in the first 2 games or the first game after an international break against Man City or anything like that. Like, there's obvious improvement in the club, and I see 100% why he's being backed.
Yeah. And actually, I'm looking at the expected points table here on the far right of your screen, guys, and it really tells a story because you're seeing Liverpool should have 3 points less than they have. Chelsea should have 1 point more. Newcastle should have 2 points more. Man City should have 2 points less. And essentially, when you put all of that together, we're second in the table because we should also have 2 points more, and we would have the most. We would have the best goal difference compared to all the other clubs, and that's essentially what we're talking about. Look at Man City, and this shows you the Holland impact. They should be scoring 5 goals less than they actually have because Holland has just been going crazy this season, and they should be conceding 2 more goals, which shows their defense and the impact of Donnarumma, right? So this is the impact that you're seeing. So XG doesn't tell you the whole story. You have to add XG plus the quality of the players, and that tells you the whole story. And so in Man City's case, they have their XG hasn't been as good as United, but they've overperformed because they have world-class players. They have the best striker in the world, and they also have the best goalkeeper in the world on purely save quality and all that. So that's where you're seeing the difference here. Whereas United, we're struggling in front of goal. We don't have the best strikers. Ahmad's not been in good form in front of the goal. Cunha's not been in great form in front of goal, and Bumo's also not been in great form in front of goal. So this is what you get, and so we just need to be patient. I feel like judging this team in December is probably the right thing to do, and say whether it's good enough or not, and whether we need to back him more in January.
Oh, I think they'll back him more in January. I agree with you 100% on a CDM and a wing back. I actually think they might get rid of a couple of players in January and maybe buy a wing back and CDM instead of buying one and loaning one.
Yeah.
Basically,
that's a
the
good point.
finances.
Guys, I want to shift the conversation a bit and talk about the Saudi investment. Any thoughts on it? I'll give my 2 cents really quickly. In my personal opinion, I think it's very, it's kind of a slippery slope if we let ourselves get excited by stories like this, because what is it even going to mean, right? It could just be like a minority ownership of like 5% or something that brings a little bit more money into the club. And I don't actually see the Glazers or Sir Jim just completely backing out so soon after they just got into this this partnership between the two of them. So I think it's interesting in the sense that we could get a bit more money, but I'm not getting excited like as if it's a full sale into Qatar like it was a few years ago.
Do you not think a full sale though would put us back another couple of years, because we'd have to then change this and change that and go through the headache of the media talking about it all the time, and then instability on the field again, and boom, 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 we're all over that part again.
So it depends on where the full sale is coming from. If the full sale comes in and clears out our debt, I don't think it's going to be negative at all, right? If they do a full sale, they clear out our debt, they put us like at the top of the chart in terms of PSR, and then we can go sign the best of the best players in the world. I
But
don't
that
think there's
means
going to be
buying a
any
new team
negativity
again.
with that. What's that?
That means buying a new team again.
Oh, it's not a
So
new team. It'll
so that's
what it'll
going to take
be is
another couple of years.
yeah. So let me give you a scenario, right? What's most likely going to happen if a full sale came in, and I'll take you back to the time that Todd Bowley bought Chelsea, right? What did they do? What they
Yeah.
did is they essentially spent over £1 billion over like 2-3 seasons, and they kept some of their players, they sold a lot of their players, and they brought in a lot of young players into the team, right? Now, I don't think a new ownership is going to come to United and do the exact same thing Chelsea did. It's going to be slightly different. In my opinion, what's
Chelsea
going to
gave out a
happen is,
lot of long contracts.
yeah, so
Chelsea gave out a lot. Yeah.
in my opinion, what they're gonna do is they're gonna get rid of the players like Maguire, like Shaw, the players that have been here for a long time that don't really deserve a chance, and they're a little bit older. I think Diogo Dalot probably stays because he's a much better age profile and he's not on crazy wages. They probably keep someone like Bruno Fernandes, and then they say, let's go get two big midfielders. Let's go get Elliot Anderson and Baleba, or let's get Adam Wharton and Baleba and fix the midfield. Let's go get a really good right wing back from somewhere. Maybe they go for Malo Gusto from Chelsea. Maybe they go try to get Hakimi from PSG or something crazy like that. I think that's more of what we'll see. I don't think they're just going to come out and rip out the whole team. So if it is Saudi, if they're going to come in and essentially, yeah, go for it.
I like the midfielder you had in your video earlier. Everyone should watch that.
Yeah, the Lamine Kamara, and he's definitely a good profile of midfielder. I think I like that guy a lot. But again, if we're keen on Baleba and we go get this guy, we can't have a two-man midfield of African players that will go to AFCON, right? Because then we're completely we don't have a midfield for 2 months. And so I think one of them will be good, and the other player should probably be a European or South American player. So we could probably go get, I don't know, Adam Wharton seems pretty good with his progressive passing, and he could be a good choice for us. Rishi, your thoughts on Saudi ownership, or someone in the chat says it's not Saudi, it's UAE, but whoever it is, let's say Arab ownership.
Yeah, so just to recap the story where it's come from, there's an individual called Turki Al Sheikh, who's an important person in the Saudi Arabian PIF, the Public Investment Fund. He heads the entertainment wing of the PIF. So he's looking into all the boxing promotions, all of the Saudi Pro League work, and then they brought in. There's a, I think, the Clash of Kings, the tennis tournament of the top 6 players that's happening.
Yeah, and also
WWE's been to
the
Saudi
live
Arabia.
golf, right? The golf thing that they did as well.
Yes. So they're basically raising the profile of Saudi Arabia as an entertainment hub, as a premier entertainment hub, right? So he's a big shot. He's a big deal. So whatever he says, we should take seriously, but also we should take it with a pinch of salt, because apparently in the summer he had a photo of Mo Salah wearing an Al Hilal jersey, and Salah ended up signing an extension at Liverpool. So not necessary that whatever he says will come about.
Yeah, but
He
it's
has
also
spoken about.
possible, Rishi, for the Mo Salah case. There's been talks about Salah going to Saudi for a couple of years now, because obviously, a Muslim player, Arabic player, they would love to have him there. And
Right.
I feel like two things can be true: that he was actually close to going to Saudi, and he didn't end up doing it because he wanted to stay in Europe a bit longer before World Cup year or whatever, or before the AFCON. And I just think I agree with your first point, in which if this guy is a big shot and he's saying something, it doesn't mean it's 100% false. We should just ignore it.
Yeah, so in my view, if this is happening, see, he said that there is a new ownership coming. He didn't say that it's Saudi, right?
Yeah.
So his source could be anything. It could be any other oil-rich country, or it could be a consortium of people. And he specifically said that hopefully the new ownership is better. So in my mind, it is not. It is someone outside of Saudi, and even Avram Glazer, when they were first seeking investment in 2022, Avram Glazer, I remember, attended the World Cup in Qatar. He was trying to get drum up interest for United from Qatar, and that's where the Sheikh Jassim bid came from. There was also there's also a chance that because there was this drag along clause when Ineos invested, that there would be an 18-month amnesty period in which there would be no fresh sale or no fresh investment in the club. After which, because Glazers are still the majority owners, because all the six siblings, they totally own around 50.9% of the club, and they vote as one big block. So in essence, they are the majority owners. So if they want to force a full sale of the club after 18 months, they can go ahead and do it. So I think this is from their end, either they are trying to bring in fresh investments, sell their stake, which means that even Ineos would be compelled to sell or match that offer.
Yeah.
So we don't know
I
whether it's Saudi ownership. We could still have Ineos in charge because they could match the bid and then they would be forced to sell to Ineos.
Yeah. Well, I think it's very hard for me to say what I'm about to say here because I haven't seen a lot of evidence to back that up, but I would personally prefer full Ineos ownership over Glazers still being there, right? And I know
Sure.
that sounds a little bit like, out of the frying pan into the fire, because let's be honest, from Ineos we've seen a lot of talk, we've seen a lot of PR, and they're definitely objectively better than the Glazers at, specific things. But the bar is so low that can we actually say they're good owners, or can we just say that they're better than the Glazers? And those are two different statements. And
Absolutely.
I feel like a full sale to Ineos is still better than where we are now. And I think Ineos are private equity enough to be in a position where they'll try to increase the enterprise value of Manchester United by building the stadium, right? Like the, let's say, the market value of this club, and then try to sell it once the stadium is done. And that could be a position where we're in, where, let's say, Glazers leave now, Ineos take over, and in the next 5 years we have a new owner that comes in, clears out the debt, or whatever. And it's probably going to be, some state-owned fund that does it.
Yeah, Andy, we also have to remember that not every Arab owner is an ideal owner. You have on one hand PSG, which just kept pumping in money and had enough connections at UEFA to be able to spend that money without falling foul of FFP, and they managed to take PSG to the pinnacle of football, right? So you have that on one hand. On the other hand, you have PIF who took over Newcastle, and we've all seen the shit show that Newcastle became. They became a laughing stock in this summer, all because they did not have footballing people at the helm. They got rid of Amanda Staveley. They got rid, or basically bought her out, or whatever their agreement was. So once Amanda Staveley as the chief executive stepped out, they didn't have anyone to take her place, and then no one was taking them seriously. They hired Paul Mitchell, and exactly what happened with us and Dan Ashworth happened with Paul Mitchell and them. He left within 5 or 6 months. So there's a lot of chaos happening there. And till the last 10 days of the window, it seemed like PIF had basically lost interest in Newcastle because not much was happening. All of their movement happened in the last
Yeah.
10 or 15 days of the window.
I'll be honest about something, right? And again, I'm open to your thoughts, Chicken, and also Lanre, who have pulled in now. But when I see MBS, and when you hear all the stereotypes about, the gold palaces and all this lavish spending with all the money that they have, I think they're looking at Newcastle and saying we bought the wrong club. I think they're looking at it and saying they're in the north of England. Yes, they have a big fan base, decent stadium and all that, but we want to be at the best of the best, and for us to do that, we need to buy the biggest club in the world, and we have the money to do it, right? Because for them, like 5-10 billion pounds is not really a big amount, because it also gives them a lot of return on their investment, right? This sports washing, they're hosting the World Cup in 2032. If they can get 7 years of Saudi logos everywhere around Old Trafford and all the red shirts selling Saudi based stuff, then that's big investment going back into their country that's going to help them promote their neon project and all of this, right? Where they've spent a lot more money. So I actually don't think it's the craziest idea in the world to say that maybe they're looking at it and saying, if there's a way for us to purchase Manchester United, the biggest club, and bring it back to the heights that it used to be on, if they can buy United and win the Champions League or win the Premier League before the 2032 World Cup, that's a huge positive let's say feelings towards Saudi and the country and their projects and all the sports washing stuff that we talk about, right? So I think it's totally possible. Landray,
Yeah.
Landray, you want to give us your thoughts?
Okay.
I don't know, man. First of all, I'm I'm still angry at the fact that there are some people who felt, you know, Sir Jim and his cohorts should be the ones taking over the club because they're British and know what
No,
it's
for
like.
me, it's not because they're
Or
British. It's just that they're better than the Glazers. That's the only point.
well,
No, I
then
think chickens. I
in
think
comparison
Landry
to
is
the
talking about
Qatar
the other
deal,
people and the narrative
yeah,
that goes on in the UK
Yeah.
that they want British owners.
yeah, because a lot of people were very opposed to Jassim because he, dirty oil money or some crazy stupid stuff like that,
Yeah.
which I think is ridiculous because I think pharmaceutical money is also as dirty as oil money. But let's
Of
not talk
course,
about
yeah.
that.
Of course, yeah.
So I'm I'm begging, dying for some oil money to come to this club because we can like all the stuff Ineos have had to do over the past few years, months, because of the Glazers mismanaging this club. It's painful, but it had to be done because the club would have run out of money. Not in the not in a run out of money sense, but projection wise, it have been very horrible. So we do need investments, 100%. And green and gold till the Glazers are gone. I'm always going to be that stance. As long as the Glazers own even 1% in this club, I will never be satisfied. They need to be kicked out completely because of what they've done to us. So I don't even care where the money is coming from at this point. My thing is how the money comes in is very important. I don't want investment where, oh, we sell them stadium rights or some ridiculous stuff like that. No, it should be quite simple. Buy the Glazers out. And I think if we need to reincite the protests again to let the Glazers know that they aren't welcome here and we haven't forgotten that they exist, I think we should seriously start considering that. We need them to sell this club. The only way we move forward is by the Glazers going 100%.
Yeah. I
That's my take on all that.
yeah, look,
But
I don't think I don't think anybody here can disagree with you, because honestly, the Glazers have been a leech at this club. They have made a ton of
Leach,
money. They even purchased it. They didn't even come in and buy it with their own money. They did a leveraged buyout. And
they purchased. I've never heard of that thing in my life where you buy someone with debt. Like they bought us by taking out a loan against like with Manchester United as an asset. That is
yeah.
how did the government let that happen?
Yeah, well,
How?
it was the head of the Premier League. I forget what his name, but
Richard Scudamore.
Insane.
Richard Scudamore. Let's all go
Take
and
him,
attack his
jail
house.
him. Yes, send him to jail. Like what?
yeah,
We
yeah,
we got to go through some rubbish at this club. And if someone comes in and drops some money and takes us out of this debt, takes us out of this feeding the club instead of the club, the club feeding the owner instead of the owner feeding the club
yeah.
mentality, that's currently where we are right now. I am all for it. But
Yeah.
apart from that, I don't want to move the conversation somewhere else. I wanted to quickly talk about Lamine Kamara. Lamine
Yeah.
Kamara was one of the people I was looking at this summer too, along with Agume at
He's gone to West Ham
Sevilla.
yeah,
now,
and
I think.
Stiller. Yeah.
Hasn't
No,
he gone to
that's
Sevilla.
West Ham?
yeah, and Stiller. Agume? No.
Yeah.
He's still playing in Sevilla. He scored against Barcelona or something, I think. Maybe not.
Oh yeah,
uh,
yeah. Okay,
and
sorry.
Stiller
It's somebody
at
else.
Mönchengladbach.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Those three players were the ones I was looking at. Lamine Kamara, he's very, very similar to N'Golo Kante. You're right about that.
Yeah.
My problem is this United team, because of the lack of control we have in a lot of games, we need someone who is a high volume, accurate passer in that midfield, right? Someone who you give the ball in that midfield, he doesn't lose the ball and he doesn't misplace a pass.
Mm-hmm.
That is how you start to build control of games, right? Someone that if Euro's in trouble, if De Ligt is in trouble, if Martinez is in trouble, they know if I find Stiller, everything is going to be okay. I don't
Yeah.
know if Kamara is that. I watched some of his games and he still has a little bit of a misplaced pass in it, but he's young, and I always think he can grow.
Yeah,
And
so the thing with Kamara that I saw, right, really quickly to just talk about the passing aspect of his game. He is playing in a team where a lot of the progressive passing is happening through the wingers dropping deep, right? When I watched the Monaco footage for making the video that I made, Golovin and Akliush, they both drop super deep, and they have both of their fullbacks going bombing on, right? So the progressive passes received is happening by the fullbacks, not the wingers, and the progressive
yeah,
passes played is
yeah,
happening more by the wingers and not really by the midfielders, because they're playing Kamara and Zakaria as the two double pivots. And so neither of those guys are known for their passing, but I also feel like it's a symptom of the system that they're playing in, because he still does
system.
have 6 progressive passes per game, which is not the best in Europe. And you're right, like Stila, for example, has 9.68 progressive passes, which is 3 passes per, or almost 4 passes per 90 more than Kamara. But I think overall, the way we need to look at it is we have a lot of holes in this team. And yes, we need
Hmm.
a passer, like you said. I think I would take both Stila and Kamara if we could,
Oh
and
yeah,
have that
absolutely,
be
absolutely.
a midfield, because
Instant
I think
upgrade.
we need
And you know
somebody
the
of
funny thing,
Kamara's
that would be a
profile as
cheaper
well.
option.
Yeah.
And also that'd be a cheaper option to Orton and Elliott.
Yeah.
Much cheaper in my opinion. But I was saying, if we could arrange a swap for Ugarte and Kamara, get it done. Which is
Yeah.
the smart business that Manchester United never does. Get
Yeah.
Ugarte out of the club because he's obviously not good enough, and get Kamara in. And I think we have a guaranteed starter beside Bruno. In my opinion.
Yeah. Chicken, any thoughts on everything we've been talking about so far?
No, I agree with all of you. But I feel like uh, Adam Watson, right? I feel like he's not that good of a player as he looks he is. Like I feel like he's a bit overrated,
Mm.
in my opinion.
But that's just English players in general, my brother.
Exactly, man. It's English
Yeah.
trash.
No, Chicken, can you expand a little bit, because I find this a very interesting opinion, and I kind of agree with you as well. Can you tell me why you think he's overrated?
Well, first off, man, Adam Wharton, like for Crystal Palace, like his, I don't know, like his, basically his PNP, basically. Do you know what PNP is?
No.
He's not
What?
that,
Mustn't play.
yeah, yeah, pace and power.
Oh, okay.
Pace and power. Okay.
Yeah. That part of his game, like, I feel like he's, worse than Minu. Eh, and we all know Minu, like, isn't that
Okay, so you don't think he has
physically
the energy.
ready.
You
Yeah,
don't think he has the hustle.
yeah. Just look at him, right? But he has like moments of magic, against Liverpool in the Community Shield, right? But then, but
Yeah.
I feel like that's one part. Like if you're gonna play for United, you gotta be like combative, physical and all that, right?
Hmm.
But if like, but I think if Wharton was to join us, like we like two physical, like not one, two physical like shuttlers behind him or something. Because
Yeah.
like Wharton's like a
That's the
special
thing.
player, right? But it's
But Warren
yeah, what?
Warren plays in the Premier League, and he plays in a team that actually are quite you know duelists. But his play style is more of a, because if you play soccer a lot,
Control.
you can either be aggressive with your tackles or you can anticipate where the ball is coming. I think watching Wharton, maybe it looks like he's not dueling, but I think because of he has very incredible positioning when he's winning the ball. So I think he
Well,
doesn't need to hustle and fight that
also
much because
the Crystal Palace team, they are very defensive, right? So he doesn't need to do as much of the defensive work because the team is set up structurally to be very defensive. They play with 30
Mm-hmm.
35% possession. They're not really trying to press from the front. They're allowing the team to build up the play and then win it in their own half and then counterattack from there, right? Because a team like Liverpool, a team like Man City, they probably want to win the ball back in the opponent's half. Whereas Crystal Palace with 35% possession, they're not putting in as many tackles, and they're kind of their wing backs are more defensive, so they actually play with a back five, not a back three. And the midfielders don't have that much ground to cover themselves. So I think it's a feature of that a little bit. But listen, I take your point. It's an interesting point, and I definitely feel like paying 100 million for Adam Wharton is not going to solve our problems. And I feel that way
He's got
about
like
Baleba.
60
I feel
million
that
more.
way about Elliot Anderson as well. I feel like the solution that we need to go for is actually buying a couple of 50 to 60 million pound midfielders that are really good,
Mhm.
that can fit our system and that Amram himself has approved. And I think Kamara is one of them because the way he can cover
Yeah,
ground, the way he can use his strength, he is somebody that I would
it's
really like
incredible.
to have in our team because he can even dribble with the ball. He can interchange positions with other people. Like he can do everything, man. And this is the player that I'm most excited about.
Can I
But
suggest one player?
also, sorry,
Can I suggest one
you
player?
say yeah, you said
Go
From
for it. Go
yeah,
for it.
yeah.
what do you guys think of Ryan Yates from Nottingham?
Dorian Yates.
Sorry, who?
No, Ryan Yates.
Oh, Ryan Yates.
Right.
Ryan. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of
He's
him?
like he's a little bit older, right? He's 27, I think.
27.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, six
I
foot
mean, that's
three,
not that
27.
bad.
Yeah, he's got a good defensive profile. As you can see on the
Mhm.
screen here, but I think he could be a decent shout. But again, the problem we have is Nottingham Forest is just going to be very difficult to negotiate with. So
That is true.
even for someone
Yeah,
like this guy, it's going to be
I
very
don't think
very
anyone is
expensive.
looking forward to going into a negotiation with that owner.
Yeah,
What's his name? Marinakis or whatever?
yeah,
Jesus Christ, that must
Marinakis.
be a
He's Greece.
Yeah,
nightmare. But I mean, the thing about Wharton that he possesses, which would be really important to our team, is I know Footy has made note of it a couple times. Amorim needs a quarterback in this formation. He needs
hmm
someone that knows where everybody is and is able to get the ball quickly into those certain positions. That's why he keeps playing Bruno there because there's nobody else on that team that can do that quarterback role right now. So I think Wharton is also pretty good at that. I think Stiller is good at that. So uh, right now, my perfect, let's go forward. Not too expensive, definitely doable. A combo of Stiller and Kamara.
yeah.
I would be happy with that. I wouldn't complain. I don't know how smart the Glazers are in here. I don't know if they're ever going to make that happen. I don't even know if they're looking at them right now. You know.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard to say, right? Because sometimes you think, I have this channel with you guys, and the community is, 32,000 of us, and you would think that there's no way, I can be smarter at picking out a player, or Landre can be smarter at suggesting a player than, this club that has £1 billion of revenue, but sometimes that's how it goes. That's the level of competence that we're dealing with, and that's where the floor is, right? Just because you have a bunch of money and just because you're the owner of a club doesn't mean that you're going to be competent all of a sudden. And listen, with the tools that are available to everybody today, that there's a lot more people with a lot more nuance and knowledge out there than the people at the club. Just because you've been doing something for 25 years doesn't mean you're good at it. And so we'll leave it at that, guys. We've been live for 75 minutes now. Great conversation today. I think we talked about Amorim, we talked about the Saudi takeover, and we've also gotten into some of the players. Appreciate you guys joining in. Lanray, Chicken, great first time call, and Rishi, as always, thank you for joining.
Thanks,
Thanks,
man.
man.
All right.
Bye.
We're gonna leave it at that, guys. What did you guys think? Get in the comments with your thoughts. Obviously in the live chat as well. For those of you that joined and stayed throughout the stream, I really appreciate you guys. We're gonna keep doing more of these. Make sure you tune in every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern time or 5 p.m. UK for these call-in shows. And as always, please join Discord and be ready to join the call when we do have these. So that you can get your thoughts in, and so I can learn from some of you in terms of United and opinions in football in general, because I always enjoy these a lot.